Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to today's session of how to set purposeful goals. We all have goals, right? I'm sure all of you have goals. But the question that you need to ask yourself is, how purposeful are they really? Are you really setting goals based on your purpose? Or are you setting goals based on what other people tell you? What you think you can do? Because, most of us set goals based on what we know we can do, not what we really want to do. So really think about it. A lot of it is about playing a victim to our current circumstances. So this is what I really want to talk about today, that how can you set purposeful goals? How do you identify your purpose, and what are these obstacles that are coming in the way of you not being able to follow your purpose or identify your purpose? So I'd like you to know that it's not really your fault, So I'm going to tell you my story of how I identified my purpose and how I set a purposeful goal, which I achieved without having the resources. All right. So, a lot of us keep talking about purpose, and how to live it. But the question is, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis? And do you resonate with whatever it is that you're trying to do? Are you happy with whatever it is that you're doing? So, a lot of you must be feeling that something is missing. There is a gap, right? If you are somebody who feels like there is a gap in your life and you don't resonate with something that you're currently doing, with the goals that you've set for yourselves, put a 1 in the chat, So for those who are on the Zoom call, you can put a 1 in the chat. And for those who are listening to me live on Facebook, can put a 1 in the comment section. If you resonate with the fact that whatever it is that you're doing currently, you feel like something is missing. It's not something you really want to do, but you don't know what you really want, right? So there's a gap in your day-to-day activities or whatever goal it is that you're trying to pursue. So put a 1, all right? Now, when I was in the corporate world, so I worked in the corporate world for over 15 years. Now, a lot of people don't believe that because they generally tell me that I look very young. But yes, I was in the corporate world for over 15 years. And, every single day when I'd go to work, I would feel like something is missing, something does not resonate. I did enjoy what I was doing and I did perform in my jobs, yes, but I wasn't fulfilled. So what did I do? I thought that the solution for that was changing jobs because I kept thinking that there was something wrong with my current job, So I kept looking for the next thing, the next best possible thing, more money, better positions, more challenges, right? But guess what? At the end of it all, because it wasn't my purpose, I wasn't aligned with it, I wasn't following my purpose, I only ended up getting fired. And that's where my journey began. So I discovered this one thing that was hindering me from following my purpose. And I'm going to share with all of you today what this one thing is, because the same thing that I discovered that was hindering me from identifying my purpose, it's the same factor, the same idea that's hindering you from identifying your purpose. You might have tried several things, but there is something within you. There's a mechanism that's controlling your entire life, and you have no idea what this is. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Now, this is an idea that completely changed the course of my life. It's an idea that was formulated by somebody called Dr. Thurman Fleet. Dr. Thurman Fleet was a chiropractor and an expert in the healing arts in San Antonio, Texas in the 1930s. What he discovered is that everything that happened to an individual is determined by the mind. Now, he had patients who'd come to him and ask him to heal their bodies for them. So what would happen over time is that they'd come back and start complaining again about the same disease, no matter how much healing he did on their bodies. So over time, he researched further and he realized that until he didn't heal their minds, nothing of impact would change in their bodies. So what he realized is that your body is an instrument of your mind. So until you don't fix your mind, nothing at the physical level will go right until you work on your mind, all right? So I'm just going to share my screen here quickly and show you the diagram that I'm talking about, the idea, what exactly happened, all right? So if you can just see my screen here. Now, this is a diagram that has two circles, a big one and a small one. You can see that the lower one, which is the smaller one, is labeled as the body. And the upper one is a bigger circle, and this is the one that's attributed to the mind. Remember what I said, that your body is an instrument of your mind, and that's why the mind has been attributed a bigger circle. All right. Now, your mind has various parts to it. So this is the intellectual part of the mind. So this is the part of the mind where information first comes in through to you from different sources. Now we have different sources of information, right? We watch Netflix, we engage with people, we speak to people all day long. We watch the news, we watch social media. So the part of the mind in which you first absorb the information that comes through to you from your environment is known as your intellectual mind. Now, we all consider ourselves intellectuals, right? Because we go to school, we have degrees, we have MBAs, we have qualifications, we feel like we've upgraded ourselves, we have the skills to do whatever it is that we want to do in our lives, to follow our purpose. But guess what? Your intellectual mind only holds 2 to 4% of your potential. So whatever information that you're gaining from the environment, in terms of your skills, your knowledge, your training, whatever you're watching on TV, whatever news you're watching, everything, all of that, through your intellectual mind, only has an ability to give you 2 to 4% of the results that you are getting in your life. So think about the people, who are super qualified around you, but some of them are not doing as well. Why? Simply because, we as human beings have decided that we will be operating from our intellectual minds. So we are essentially not using the right part of the mind to drive the results that we want. Now, when I talk about results, I'll talk about exactly what I mean, because it also applies to you identifying your purpose when I talk about results in your life, all right? So let's have a look. Your second part of the mind is known as your emotional mind. Now, your emotional mind is that part of the mind, that carried ideas from childhood that you have no control over. Now, your intellectual mind is that part of your mind that can either accept or reject ideas. But your emotional mind is that part of the mind that can only accept ideas. Now, when you are a child, your intellectual mind was not developed. So your emotional mind was open like a big bucket. So what happened? Everything that you heard from your environment, Now try and remember, what kind of environment did you grow up in? Did you grow up in a wealthy environment? Did you grow up in a restricted or a limited environment? Did you grow up in an environment where you are encouraged, to be confident, to speak up, to express your opinions? Or were you brought up in an environment where you are told that, go to your room and play. You shouldn't speak in front of people. You shouldn't speak in public, or you should be scared of water, is dangerous. So, some of us as adults, we still can't swim because we were brought up in environments, where we were told that water is dangerous, right? So how many of you can resonate with some of these ideas? Try and think. Now, all these ideas that you picked up from your environment as a child came together and formed something that you now still hold as an adult, known as your paradigm. Your paradigm controls 96% of your results, meaning it holds 96% of your potential. So your paradigm is that part of your mind that's unconsciously running your life as we speak, and you have no idea that it's doing this. Your paradigm controls your decision-making abilities, your logic, your ability to manage time, the amount of income that you can earn, your ability to have harmonious relationships, your health, the way you run your business. It controls absolutely everything in your life, all right? Now, this same paradigm, ladies and gentlemen, is the same thing that controls whether you will be able to identify your purpose and achieve your goals based on your purpose or not, because it controls absolutely everything. But the sad news here is that, it unconsciously runs your life. So you have no idea. But the great news is that by attending this session here today, you have discovered, what's really been hindering you from identifying your purpose and really following your purpose and setting your goals based on your purpose, rather than doing what other people around you are telling you to do, all right? So, this is exactly what was controlling me. When I was not happy in my corporate jobs, when I wasn't sure what I really wanted to do, what happened is that, instead of trying to find out what it is that really resonates with my spirit, what it is that I really wanted to do in my life, what was my purpose, what did I do? I simply kept jumping jobs, one after the other, thinking that it will get better in the next company. But guess what? It was my paradigm that was not letting me think about my purpose. When you want to identify your purpose, you have to take out the time, to sit down and really reflect with yourself and ask yourself what it is that you really want. But what does your paradigm do? Because it has the ability to control the way you run your time, you never really find the time in your life to sit down and reflect, about what it is that you really want to do, So how many of you have experienced this, that you try and find the time to do something for yourself, but you never seem to just find it at all, right? It's because your paradigm is running the way, you control your time. Remember I said your productivity, the way you manage your time, the way you manage your tasks on a daily basis. So this is exactly what it was doing. And another thing I'd like you to know about your paradigm is this. Your paradigm is like an autopilot system in your mind. Now think of an autopilot system. What does an autopilot system do? An autopilot system is a system that sets a plane on a course. So for instance, if a plane is supposed to go from London to Nairobi, right? The autopilot system sets it on that specific route, all right? Now, when the plane goes off course, the autopilot system brings it back on course. But that's a brilliant thing because nobody wants a plane to go off course, right? Because it may cause a plane crash and nobody wants that. But this same system, is reflected by your paradigm in your mind. So what does your paradigm do? When you are on a specific course in your life, remember, for how many years, try and remind yourself, you've not been able to achieve the kind of growth that you wanted. You may have grown a certain level, but not as far as you may have wanted to go. So that's your paradigm working on you. What it does, it keeps you on a specific course. As soon as you try to level up, it brings you back on course. And that's exactly what my paradigm did to me. Instead of it letting me identify my purpose, what it was doing, it kept me looking for different jobs, making me think that the next one will keep getting better and better and better. And that's how I was stuck in the same cycle every single day, all right? So let's talk about, how did I really find my purpose, all right? Oh, sorry. Bennett, you couldn't see my screen? Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Okay. Oh, no, I'm so sorry. Okay, never mind. It's maybe I can just bring it up again. Sorry, guys, I was just told that my screen was not visible. I'm really sorry about that. Can you see it now? Bernard, maybe you can confirm with me. Okay, all right, great. Okay, so I've already gone through the concept, right? Sorry, guys, I really apologize for this. So, I was talking about the intellectual mind and the emotional mind. So this is what it looks like, right? Now, your intellectual mind is that part of the mind, as I said, that first absorbs information that comes in through your environment. But it only controls 2 to 4% of the results that you get in your life because it only has 2 to 4% of your potential, all right? And as I was saying, we all have a habit of making decisions, of doing everything from our intellectual minds. And that's why we can't move as fast as we want. And then I talked about the emotional mind, right? And I was telling you that your paradigm sits in your emotional mind. And this is the part of the mind that controls everything that happens, in your life, because it has 96% of the potential that you have as an individual. And as I had mentioned, your paradigm controls everything in your life. And it's based on ideas that you picked up as a child, and it unconsciously runs your life. So how I gave an example of how it ran my life by not allowing me to identify my purpose, right? So what it did, it kept me on the same course. So I gave that autopilot example, right? So it's an autopilot system in your mind that keeps you on the same course for many years, all right? So that's what your paradigm does. Now, until you don't work on your paradigm, you'll never be able to work on your purpose. You'll never be able to identify your purpose. So it's your paradigm that you need to target. This is the biggest obstacle that everyone has And, you don't know that this is what's stopping you from whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? So it's the paradigm that you need to work on, all right? So let's talk about how I, found my purpose. The question is, how did I discover my purpose? So that's what I'd like to share with you all today, because I believe a similar process can also help you identify your purpose, right? Now, when I was working in the corporate world, for over 15 years, what happened over time, I started feeling like I wasn't fitting in anymore. I was getting extremely fatigued. I wasn't feeling happy. And I felt like time wasn't moving, when I was at work. It's like, yeah, time would go because I had a lot of work to do, but I felt like I wasn't fulfilled at the end of the day, and I would really wait. Sorry, excuse me. I'd wait for weekends, and I'd be like, when do I get to rest? When do I get time for myself? So basically, my time was not flowing. When you are on purpose, when you are working with your purpose, time actually flows. It just doesn't fly, but it actually flows. So you don't feel like there's a pull and push with time. I felt like there was a lot of pull and push with time, because I was trying to get things done and I was feeling very fatigued by the end of it. I didn't feel like it's something I really resonated with, right? And at the end of the day, I wouldn't feel like I had a productive and fulfilling day. So really think about it, wherever you are in your life at the moment, if these are some of the things you're experiencing, it means that you're not working in your purpose. You're not following your purpose. You haven't identified it. Whatever it is that you're doing, and if it's frustrating you to some level, right? That means that you're not really working on your purpose. Now, interestingly, all the things I say, the fatigue, the fact that I wasn't feeling fulfilled by the end of the day, time wasn't flowing, right? It never really affected my performance over the years until the year 2019, because it finally caught up. My performance completely froze. When I was in one of the corporate companies in 2019, my performance completely froze. I just couldn't do anything. Like, I would go to work, I would carry out some tasks. It's not that I was just sitting around on my desk, but I wasn't getting the results. And eventually that led me to getting fired. So you see what happened at the end of it. It all caught up with me finally, because I wasn't doing what it is that I really wanted to do, what I was meant to be doing, what was soul feeling for me, what was fulfilling and purposeful for me. And that is why, at the end of the day, I just hit rock bottom. Now, unfortunately, I got fired in 2019, and in 2018, I had lost my dad. So, it really hit me. And I went looking for answers. And that's when I realized that it was now time for me to do what I really wanted to do. So what I'd like you all to know today is that don't wait to hit that rock bottom. Don't wait for that time, Make sure that if you already find these symptoms, some of the symptoms that I have realized, that I had experienced, if you're already experiencing some of those symptoms, then it's already time for you to start trying to identify your purpose and try to get onto that journey of trying to understand, who really are you and what it is that you really want to do. Now, the interesting thing here is that my inner voice has started nagging me already in 2014. I had came across the book, The Secret. I'm not sure how many of you have heard about it. So it talks about the law of attraction. And at that time, I was on a work sabbatical. And that's when I started discovering that I wanted to do something that would help other people live a fulfilled life. So that was my purpose, Now, at that time, I had no clue how I was going to do it, And I wanted to do it differently, I didn't want to do, what they call the ordinary coaching, that's not what I wanted to do. And at that time, I had no idea how I was going to go about this, what exactly it would be. So I continued working. As you can see, the inner voice started nagging me in 2014, but I actually started my current practice in 2021. And my journey of my self-discovery started in around 2019. So you can see that there was a lot of time lag in between, right? Now, fast forward, how did my change start happening, So when I started searching for answers in 2019, it took me 2 years to come across my mentor, Bob Proctor. So I came across my mentor, Bob Proctor, in 2021. And that's when things started moving forward for me. I learned the paradigm idea from him, and I learned that once you work on your paradigm, you can actually identify your purpose and follow your purpose in life. And that was just phenomenal, Now, Bob Proctor is a gentleman, who came out of a debt of $6,000 in the 1960s. Now, in the 1960s, 6,000 was a lot of money. So he continuously kept owing people money. And the information that he shared with me is the same information that he went through, the same process that he went through. He overcame his paradigm, he shifted his paradigm, and within a few years, he started earning $1 million. And this is what he started sharing with all of us, So I came across him and I underwent the process that he took me through. And he gave me the opportunity to share this with other people. So now I can help people shift their paradigm and show them how to discover their purpose, all right? So your purpose comes from your spirit. You really have to reflect and ask yourself, what it is that you really want? What makes you happy? What is the one thing that you do currently in your personal or professional life? And time doesn't just fly, but as I say, time flows, when you are working on purpose. Never a day will you feel like you're working, And what is it that makes you feel happy and satisfied and excited at the same time? It's like you've been wanting to do it for a while. A voice has been talking to you, but you feel like you can't leave what you're currently doing because your family needs you. The people around you have formed a certain perception about you. So, you're thinking to yourself that if I really deep dive into what it is that I really want, what will people around me say? For how many of us is this a very big worry? For a lot of us, we are always worried about what people say about us, isn't it? We are constantly worried that if I do this, what will he say? What will they say? What will my parents say? What will my wife say? What will my friends say? What will my social standing be, right? So it's very difficult for you to pursue it for these reasons. And maybe you also felt a certain speck of fear, when you thought about how it will happen, because most of us, we are afraid of leaving our current sources of income to dive into our purpose. Now, one thing I can tell you is that you don't have to do that. You can start it on the side and then pursue it. Now, that's exactly what I did. Now, when I was fired in 2019, I got another job, working from home. Luckily, I found something where I could work from home. So at the same time, when in 2021, I came across my mentor, and in 2022, I started my current practice. I was doing it, side by side with whatever I was doing for another company. So I was working for an Australian company at that time. But then I started my current practice on the side. But ultimately, I realized that, if I don't, pay full attention to my purpose, it will only go so far, right? So I made a very quick decision to quit my job at some point. But for those of you who'd like to start out, for those of you who'd like to follow their purpose, if you want to follow your purpose, you can start it on the side as you do whatever it is that you're currently doing. So you don't have to quit what you're currently doing, right? Now, this brings me to the idea of how to set purposeful goals. Now, what I'd like you to know is that your goals are not so much for you to get, but they're for you to grow. All of us keep thinking that, if you have a goal of buying a house or building a home or, traveling to a certain destination or earning a certain amount of income, everybody always, you're probably targeting that particular home, that particular amount, whatever it is that you're trying to, get. Now, what I'd like you to understand that it's not so much for you to get, but it's for you to grow, because you become a person, when you look back, you won't even recognize yourself. Your goal achievement process enables you to grow. And I'm going to show you how that's going to happen, because I want to share this idea with you on how you can identify your purpose, what it is that you really want to do. Because, a lot of us follow the mundane process of doing whatever it is we think we can do, or what we know how to do, right? Because life gets comfortable. The comfort zone is a very interesting place to be in. Yeah, it can keep us going. It can just keep us there, but it never lets us grow up, keep growing. Now, what I'd like you to know is that, you are a creative being and you're meant to be more, do more, and have more. So it's very important. The diagram that I'm going to show you just now, it's very important that you have a look at it very carefully. And I hope this time around you can actually see it. Just give me a moment. Yeah, I think you should be able to see it. Bernard, can you just confirm with me that you can see the diagram? Bernard, are you there? Maybe somebody else can type in the chat, or you can simply unmute yourself and tell me if you can see my screen. Okay. Yes, maybe it's zoomed in. Okay. But is it visible?
Yes, it's visible.
All right. Thank you, Bernard. I appreciate that. All right, great. So, I was talking about how we set goals, based on what we know how to do. Now, that's called an A-type goal. We usually let our circumstances determine what we are going to do, right? People around you tell you that, hey, Bernard, you should do this, Kirat, you should do that. This is what suits you. So you tend to do, what other people expect of you, or what your circumstances allow you to do, right? Now, what I'd like you to know is that, you acting upon your circumstances is not really your fault. That is how I was operating before I came across this information that I'm sharing with you today, because I had no idea that I could actually rise beyond my current circumstances. So when you go for something that you already know how to do, that's known as an A-type goal. So you already know how to do it. Now, a very good example, that I just gave you earlier today is when I was not happy with my job, what would I do? I'd go for the next job. So I knew how to do that. I thought the next job would fulfill me, right? I was only cheating myself. So I never had the courage to think beyond, what I was doing at that time, because I was setting my goals, based on, this XYZ company, this much pay, this particular position, right? Maybe a few other challenges here and there, because I knew how to do it. So that's an A-type goal. Now, what I'd like you to know that is, if you are somebody who's currently setting an A-type of goal, there is no inspiration or growth here, because you already know what you're supposed to do. So what's the inspiration? What newness are you achieving? Are you really growing? Absolutely not, because you already know how to do it, right? Now, the next level is called a B-type goal. Now, this is something that you think you can do, you can figure out a way of doing it, So for instance, if you're a business owner, who wants to drive, let's say, so normally if you drive a 20% growth, the next year you tell your staff that, okay, let's try and achieve maybe 30% growth. Let's just add 10% extra, right? So that's something you think you can do. You can find a way. You can hire better people. You can have a strategy team. You can implement better ideas. You can get more investors. You can try newer things. You can explore new markets, for instance. You can expand so that you can achieve the 30% growth. But again, what I'd like you to know is that there is growth in a B-type goal, but there is no inspiration. And it's not what you really, really want. It's something you're still compromising about based on your circumstances. So you've gone a step further compared to the A-type goal, yes, but it's not as inspiring as you'd like it to be. It's not something you really want, as a company, as an individual, all right? Now, if you really want to follow your purpose, what I'd like you to know is that your purpose is something that will cause you to stretch. All right? It's something you have no idea how you're going to do, but you know you can do it. You know you will. And it's something that you really wanted to do. So today, really think about it. What I'd like you to do is that after you've attended this session here today, I'd like you to go home and write. What are some of the things that you really wanted to do, but you've been brushing them aside because of your current circumstances? You have no idea how it's going to happen. All of us have these ideas in our minds that I want to earn money by doing XYZ. This is what I want to do. But because you don't know the how, it's been stopping you. So today I want you to make a very comprehensive list on some of these activities that really resonate with your spirit. But you have to do this exercise, when you are sitting by yourself, when you are very relaxed, and just let your imagination flow. Don't restrict any ideas, don't restrict any thoughts. Be at your best thinking capacity, feel very relaxed. And you will start coming up with these things that you've been really enjoying. But because you had no idea how to do it, that's why you've not been doing it. So this is what you should be aiming for. Your purpose scares and excites you at the same time. It's inspiring and it helps you to grow. It's something that you've been wanting to do forever and you've been ignoring it because you have no idea how you'll achieve this, right? Now, what I'd like you to know is that the fun is in the finding out how you'll do it. When you start the process of identifying what it is that you really want and you start working towards it. When I say working towards it, I will tell you exactly the process that I use in order to start working towards something I have no idea how I'm going to achieve, all right? So this is the right place to be. Remember, you're trading your life for your goal. You're trading all your time, your life for your goal. So choose wisely. And, most of us say that, am I worthy of the goal? No, the question should be, is this goal worthy of you? Because you are a creative being. You're capable of anything that you'd like to do. So is this goal worthy of you? Not are you worthy of it? So as I say, you get stuck. You don't know, you have no idea how. And that's why you discard your C goal. But the fun is in finding out how. So I'm just going to share my story, on how I achieved my C goal. So, currently the practice that I run, my official designation, I'm known as a Proctor Gallagher consultant. So Proctor Gallagher is an institution that is owned by my mentor, Bob Proctor. And, we serve people worldwide with the information that we have. And, to become a consultant with the Proctor Gallagher Institute, I needed $30,000 and I didn't have the money. Now, this was in 2021 when I came across my mentor, Bob Proctor, and I started studying his information. The opportunity he offered was that I can teach the same thing to people globally because this business has no limits. I can reach people globally, right? And, but there was one thing, that it cost $30,000 and I made it my C goal. And I made an immediate decision that whether I have the money or not, I am a Proctor Gallagher consultant for sure. I made that firm decision. So what I did is that I invested in myself, I invested in the process that my mentor was offering. And guess what? After a few months, I got a scholarship from the institution of becoming a consultant with them. Meaning, at that time when I was working on myself, so the idea is that you have to work on myself. So I worked on myself and I just took a quantum leap. Now, can you imagine if I had tried to, get the $30,000 somehow, either through a loan or through trying to borrow through, through people, trying to get some kind of a grant, it would have taken me way longer. But as soon as I started working on myself, on my paradigm with my mentor, Bob Proctor, my paradigm started switching and he started supporting. I learned how to support my C goal, which was to become a Proctor Gallagher consultant that cost $30,000. And I set that C goal without even knowing where the money was going to come from. So what I'd like you to know is that when you invest in yourself, when you start working on yourself, you start finding out the how with the process. You're never going to know the how in the beginning. That is the reality. So as you go through the process and your paradigm starts shifting, remember what I said, your paradigm controls 96% of everything that happens in your life. Now, what you simply need to do is learn how to make your paradigm work for you rather than let it work unconsciously for you. As you are seated here listening to me today, your paradigm has run your life, for all these years, and you have no idea that it has unconsciously done this, right? Now, for a lot of people, it has driven them to success. So those people are known as unconscious competence because they don't know that they can, get to further levels of success by simply working on their paradigm. So myself, by working on my paradigm, I drove myself towards my goal. And I ended up, winning a scholarship for this practice without paying a penny for it. So can you imagine, if I had started questioning how it was ever going to happen from the beginning, the fear, the doubt, and the confusion would have actually led me further away from my goal. So if you are somebody, who would like to identify your purpose, which I can absolutely help you do through the same process that I underwent with my mentor, Bob Proctor. I have that same process that I can help you with. Now, what I'd like you to know is that this is a process, that is very in-depth and clear-cut, and it simply helps you to identify your purpose. It helps you to overcome your paradigm. Now, when I talk about overcoming your paradigm, I mean it helps you shift your paradigm to work for you rather than let it unconsciously work for you as it currently is doing. So, right now you're running your life on autopilot. Every day you wake up, what does your day look like? Have you ever done an audit of what your day looks like? From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, what kind of results are you getting? Are you happy with the results that you are getting in your life, right? Are you really following your purpose? And this is a process that can help you overcome the external noise that is hindering you from discovering your purpose. Remember, it's not only your paradigm, right? Which is your internal voice that stops you from identifying your purpose and setting purposeful goals for yourself, but there's a lot of external noise. Now, what this process teaches you is to work inside out. So it helps you block all the outside noise and simply lets you follow what it is that you really want to do from within yourself. All right. So I help you work from inside yourself so that you can now pull the circumstances that can work for you. And that's exactly what happened to me. Remember what I said, when I started working on my paradigm, the circumstances played out in my favor in such a way that I ended up getting a scholarship for my current practice. I didn't have to invest a dime. So initially, when I started following that process that my mentor offered me, the idea was to find a way to get the money for that practice of $30,000. But guess what? Because my mindset, my paradigm started shifting in the right direction, things happened for me. And that's exactly what I'll help you do through this process. This process also helps you overcome your struggles and enjoy living life to the fullest. Now, remember what I said. Your paradigm controls your time, the amount you can earn, your income earning abilities, the way you run your business, your relationships, your health, absolutely everything. So everybody that I have been working on this process, there's been a ripple effect, right? So what happens automatically when you learn how to make your paradigm work in your favor? You'll start working effortlessly in your life and you'll start enjoying life to the fullest because your paradigm is used to making you struggle. And that's exactly what I help people do. I help you exit that struggle cycle. Everybody wants an effortless life, right? Wouldn't it be fun, if we were able to generate the right ideas and take the right actions in our lives so that we would stop struggling? Because what's happening at the moment is your goal is here, but your paradigm is making you stay here. So there's a very big gap. When you shift your paradigm and align it to the level you want to get to, everything becomes effortless in your life. And with this, you start becoming in charge of yourself, of your life, and you automatically take a quantum leap because that's exactly what happened to me. So this is a 12-step process that happens over 24 weeks. And I simply do a very deep dive into your mental programs where I will help you identify your purpose. Because remember what I say, your mental programs, which is your paradigm, is controlling your ability to identify your purpose at the moment. So you're feeling stuck. You don't need to be stuck. It's a very simple process, which I can take you through, right? So once you work on your paradigm, you start identifying your purpose. Then you set your C goal and achieve it with this very same process. Now, these are very specialized concepts, As I keep mentioning my mentor, Bob Proctor. So he is the one who has put this together based on his results and his experiences. So he has utilized this for over 50 years. So these are based on research and implementation for over 50 years. So these are proven concepts and frameworks that have worked for millions of individuals around the globe and are still working for people as we speak here today. All right. It also involves one-on-one coaching calls with me, where I will guide you on the practical action steps. Now, what I'd like you to understand is this, that this is not an ordinary coaching program. This particular process is known as thinking into results. Thinking into results is something that helps you understand your mental programs at a very deep level. And it's not just about understanding. It's with the repetition where you will see changes. With repetition comes application. Now, remember, nothing really happens without taking action. So it's a three-part process. There's an understanding, repetition, and application. So it's not just the one-on-one calls, over the 24-week period, but it's a lot of deep diving, self-discovery into your mental programs that will help you propel to the next stage, all right? And of course, accountability is a success insurance policy. That's what always my mentor said, that accountability is key. So I hold you accountable on a weekly basis so that I am sure that you are taking the right action steps. You are following the instructions. You are taking my guidance seriously so that I can help you achieve your purposeful C goal. And an extra gift that I include, so I have 2 extra gifts that I usually include as part of this process. So I have a very strong morning routine that I followed when I achieved this current practice, that cost me $30,000. So I include this as part of this process. And it's a very, 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 very valuable morning routine. And I have laid out the exact steps, what time I wake up, what time I do exactly what. And I've included the material that I study, that I, follow on a daily basis in order to achieve the results that I achieve in my life at that time and also currently. All right. Now, as I said, I have 2 gifts that I include as part of this process. So I talked about my morning routine. My second gift is my book club. So everybody who is part of my client base, if you decide to work with me, you get to study with all my other clients on a weekly book club. And guess what? This is not just for the time you are enrolled with me, but it's a lifetime service that I have promised to all my clients, because this is a continuous process. You following your purpose is a continuous process. It's not something that just happens one-off. So I give you lifetime value. And this is for very serious people. If you are somebody who feels that you really value yourself and you deserve to identify your purpose and really follow it in your life, and you want to stop being a victim of circumstances, then this is something that would be fantastic for you. And if you want to move to the next level in your life effortlessly, it's something, that will really, really help you set your goals in a very purposeful manner. All right. So here are my contacts. That's my website. You can have a look at it. If you would like to reach out to me directly on WhatsApp, that's my number. I'm also present on social media. On Facebook, my page is called Thinking into Results with Shalini Gadia. I have the same handle on YouTube. I upload a lot of free content on YouTube, so you can follow me. I also upload a lot of free content on Instagram. My handle is Shalini_GD. So you can feel free to get in touch with me. Let's have a chat on how you can identify your purpose. I would be humbled to be the person to help you identify your purpose and help you follow it and achieve your C goals and move to the next level. This is a very, very exciting process that I continuously undergo, so it's something that has been absolutely life-changing for me, for the people around me, and for the people that I'm working with currently. All right, so I'll now be